Alright, welcome back to another live stream repair. I lost my knife. Hold on. Here we have it. Apparently this guy's got no power. Oh, weird. Why is that on there? Let's turn that off. Alright. Let's see what it's got. Yeah, no power, couple of watts at the wall. That tells me it's the usual dead diode. Let's get it fixed up. Let's see how many we can fix today. How many are we gonna fix in this stream? Quite the question from a lurker such as yourself, Joseph. I'm not sure. I would like to fix all of them today. Everybody's got one except for Mo. Mo sent 2 in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not sure if we'll have the time for all of them, but we're gonna try. Looks like we got mostly no power today. Got 1 or 2 with death farts, and we've got 2 with logic board issues. Not sure if it's software or hardware yet, we'll find out. So the spread of problems today. Alright, first up, a little bit of maintenance. You've heard it here a million times and you're going to hear it a million more. Here are our filters for removing unwanted DC voltage, as we like to call them, our fart filters. They naturally go bad over time and lead to said death farts. So we like to replace these as part of every hardware repair. Anytime we crack open a HomePod, it's pretty much worth replacing these filters if it's still original. No, we got 6 people and 1 person sent 2 in. There. The different scene doesn't show everyone's names. Just cause that's how I like it. I haven't had somebody send in 7 at once. The most I've had somebody send in at a single time was 4. A few people have definitely sent me upwards of 7 to 10 over the years. But I won't be surprised if we get someone like that sometime. Alright. Took an extra second there to get those lined up the way I wanted, but they are on there nice and square. Let's get this dead diode out of the way. That's what's actually causing their power issues. Alright, that should make for one happy HomePod. the tops of HomePods made of glass or plastic? It is pure plastic. And the color layer is underneath the top clear layer. So it's a top clear layer, and then it's painted underneath, and then it's got the sticky stuff. Where did I put the other screw? You distracted me. Oh, I already put it in. I'm an idiot. First one fixed. Easy peasy.
I'm having trouble connecting.
Very nice.
I'm having
Let's move on to the next one. This one is Walter's. It's also got no power, so it's probably going to be the same repair. We'll crack it open, give it a new diode, give it new fart filters, and that should be all it needs. Ooh, it's been a minute for this thing, hasn't it? Alright, what's it got? Sure enough, the exact same symptoms. So let's get it apart and get it fixed. Oh, Marco with the super chat. My goodness, thank you. And welcome. Welcome, welcome. We'll be fixing these till we physically or legally can't anymore. Swear to God, I'll get hospitalized doing something at some point in my life. Fun fact, I've never broken a bone or really been hospitalized for anything in my life yet, but inevitably I'll probably get hospitalized for doing something or being involved in something stupid. And you bet your ass I'll be fixing HomePods on my hospital bed. Do you know how many HomePods would be waiting for me to get fixed when I would get home from, you know, if I took like a week or two off? Anytime I try to take just a couple days off, it's like the worst timing possible. Like 5 or 6 a day show up. I get home and there's like 15 or 20 of them waiting. Everyone's like, "Did you get my HomePod? Did you get my HomePod? Is my HomePod fix? Fix HomePod pulls." But at the end of the day, it's a very fulfilling position to be in. Because we're not just fixing some random junk. To me, and I'm sure to many others, music is one of the most important things to them, and listening to music. And the music, like in the listening experience that HomePod's managed to deliver. Well, when I first heard a HomePod, it was one of the nicest speakers I'd ever heard. So for the price, it was one excellent way to listen to music. Still is, in my opinion. Why so many failures? Welcome, Francisco. Welcome. I can't tell you for certain why there are so many failures. It's kind of interesting because Apple spent so many years and so much money leading up to producing this thing in its final form. That said, it's not just a speaker, something to keep in mind. You've got the subwoofer speaker and 7 smaller speakers with essentially an iPhone 6 display and touch board. Around 100 watts or so of amplified power for all of those speakers inside, with 110 to 220 volt switching power supply. All that built into a sealed enclosure with the smart stuff, the voice assistant and AirPlay. It's not just a Bluetooth speaker. So there's, to be fair, a lot of stuff crammed in here. And they make it sound really good doing it. So I'm not trying to justify a widespread failure rate of these, but is that mold? No. But despite how unpopular these may seem, or may have seemed, I do think that they still moved a lot of units. So when you move a lot of units, of course you're going to start seeing problems, especially problems that you, to be fair, can't really find or check until a year to 3 years more down the road of testing it. And at one point do you keep testing something before you say, okay, I think it's good enough for us to finalize and sell as a product. So that's one side of the token. Not to mention, we do go through so many of these repairs, but just because we see a lot of these, show up to get repaired doesn't mean there are a lot of, that the failure rate is high. Frankly, we have no idea what the failure rate is. All we can go off of is speculation based on what we see getting our hands on other secondhand units and seeing what's inside. So there's a few possible reasons why they could possibly have a higher than desirable failure rate. It's also possible that the failure rate in reality is perfectly reasonable, and it's just because that's all we do is fix these, that's all we're going to see are broken ones. Take for example iPhones. You go and look for a used or broken iPhone, and there are so many more of those out there than broken HomePods. But that doesn't automatically mean that iPhones have a higher failure rate, right? So it's hard to say. Are there any first-gen HomePods that don't fail? No. And that is because of the filtering capacitors on the amplifier. Since they are ceramic capacitors, all ceramic capacitors decay over time. What that will lead to is too much DC voltage getting through the audio signal, getting amplified and sent to the speakers, causing problems and death farts and other bass issues. The second gen's going to have the same problem too, inevitably, unless they did something to account for that. But you filter DC offset from a Class D audio amplifier with capacitors, and there's only two kinds of capacitors, electrolytic and ceramic. And you got electrolytics in here, and you've got ceramics. It's not like using the electrolytics would solve the problem, it would just dry up and fail in its own way still. So, this is interesting. That screw right here, that's tight. They cross-threaded that from the factory. Jackwagons. Anyways, where was I? What was I talking about? I was talking about first gens that don't have problems. Right. Well, all first gens are going to need routine work is the point that I'm getting at. Not just a one-time repair, but eventually those filters are going to go out again 5, 10, 15, maybe longer years down the road and need replaced again. Now, the one thing, or I guess I should say the 8 things that will last the longest in any HomePod are the actual speakers themselves. So, the long-term goal is to eventually stuff an aftermarket, off-the-shelf amplifier inside of a HomePod that replaces the stock amp board and logic board, removes the reliance from Apple keeping their shit together, and keeps AirPlay 2, adds wired in, auxiliary in, Bluetooth, what have you. These are those filters that we love to rant about that go bad over time and cause death farts. So these have nothing to do with the no power issue that Walter sent this HomePod in for, but they do go bad over time, and I don't like getting any HomePod back that I've already worked on. That's the thing I hate the most about HomePod repairs, is getting one back that I already fixed. So this will give it one less reason to ever come back to us. Unless they're going to give it to us, or sell it to us. Alright, looks like they could scoot down a tiny bit maybe. Yeah, let's do that. Perfect. We got some new filters on there. Let's flip this around and fix the actual issue with this not powering on. before 8K dated again, of course. If this diode don't die and kill your HomePod's power, those filters will fail and cause farts. The second gen does, I will say, seem like a cheaper but more reliable design. So there's no harm in giving me your first gens and upgrading the second gens. I'll suffer with the first gens, don't you worry about me. Scoot on over. There we go. Sorry folks, had to clear my throat there. Figured you didn't want to hear it. Welcome to the stream, Chris. Just did this repair to my first gen today. Ended up cracking the top plastic in three places. Not too fun. At least that top plastic piece doesn't really affect the functionality at all. If I had a resin 3D printer, I could make replacement top caps, but I've only got an Ender 3 right now. And that poor thing is working day and night, printing adapters for me already. Oh, they really cross-threaded that one, huh? There we go. Took a chunk of my thumb with my spudger trying to get it off. Yeah, buddy. One of us. I swear, my webbing right here, I've cut that open, opening up HomePods like a dozen times by now. Sucks. I wish iFixit made one of these with a thin coating of plastic on it, so that it wouldn't mar up plastics that you're trying to pry up, and it would be a little more forgiving if you jab it into yourself. And as an added bonus for iFixit, the plastic coating wears off, you gotta buy a new one. Apple not only didn't want people fixing these, they didn't want them even trying to take them apart for any reason. And they will illegally void your warranty if you tell them you took it apart. Even if you can prove that you taking it apart had nothing to do with its demise. It sucks, because I had the personal experience of them trying that with me. Right as we were starting to get into HomePod repairs a few years ago, I had reached out to Apple to get a couple that I had bought replaced under warranty. Long story short, the senior exec that I was talking to get the warranty replacement done asked me if I had ever taken it apart. Because, it came up in conversation that I fixed them, but since these were in warranty, I wanted to exercise my warranty. I wasn't going to bother trying to fix them myself. And they said, they asked me to confirm that I didn't try opening them yet. And they said, if you did, we'll know, and we won't honor the warranty. Almost an exact quote. And, I didn't want to argue with the guy. I wanted the warranty replacement, so I didn't sit there and tell him, well, you can't do and say that, that's illegal. Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I wanted my replacement HomePods. Why is the diode failure so common? So, there were a wide batch of diodes used in the production of the first-gen HomePod. They bought a whole, Apple bought a whole batch of them to make HomePods, and these diodes range to be made in as early as 2017 and as late as 2018. Actually, no, I'm sorry. They were all from 2017. These diodes. But a particular few weeks of those diodes were bad. Low quality, whatever. Who knows why they're actually bad, but they tend to fail for no good reason. So, we don't know exactly how many HomePods have or don't have those diodes that are bad out of all the ones out there. And there's no correlation to batch of HomePods or anything like that, because there were only 2 production runs. And from what we've seen, both production runs have the same chance of someone having dipped their hand into that diode bucket and pulling out one of the bad ones when they were putting your HomePod together. Every HomePod has that same chance. I've even had pre-production units in for repair. Surprise, surprise, same diode. So, yeah. Wouldn't that be messed up if Apple got a refund from the supplier, but then Apple didn't turn around and do a recall for all of the HomePods and their products that were affected by that? That would be insanely messed up. Wouldn't it be funny if, because we've been fixing all of them, nobody ever sent, or Apple never got enough of these to determine and evaluate it was even a mass spread problem before we fixed too many of them? I highly doubt that. Especially when, as I would, at least I would hope, a customer's first response to a product misbehaving should be to reach out to the manufacturer, not pay a third-party repair shop. You should at least contact the manufacturer and see what they're willing to do for you first, even if it's out of warranty. Heck, put up a little bit of a fight if you want to. You might get what you want without having to pay anything for it. You already paid for it, so. Like, by now, Apple absolutely certainly knows. What I'm curious about is, when did they find out, and how did they find out? And was it before or after we figured it out? And I mean, certainly they got a couple of no-power HomePods in and figured out what, that it was the diode that died. But what I want to know is, when did they determine that it was an actual widespread problem? Or, they saw that there aren't actually that many out there with them in it, so it's not too big of a deal. Yeah, okay, we've repaired a couple thousand, and probably there's a couple thousand more combined from other people fixing them, at least. But then, how many HomePods were actually sold? I mean, if there were, a couple 100,000 HomePods sold, I have no idea how many were actually sold. But what would the failure rate be if, you had 5,000 out of 100,000? That's like a 5% failure rate, isn't it? That's actually pretty bad.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet. For more info.
Yep. Well, yep. I think you're onto the right track there, David. They said they probably couldn't link which ones were bad and didn't want to recall all HomePods, and that's pretty much what they would have had to done, because there's no correlation to the serial number and production date and what diode you've got inside. And they certainly didn't keep track of the date code of the diode that went into every HomePod. Especially when there's only a few dozen, I think there's only like a dozen or so. Hey Siri, how many weeks are in a year? It's like 40.
1 year is 52.18
Yeah, 52 weeks.
weeks.
So I mean, 52 possible diodes. 52 possible date codes for diodes. Assuming Diodes Incorporated made a new batch every week for every week of the year. Realistically, we've only seen about a dozen or so different date codes used in the HomePods, but it's those two, the 46K and the 48K, that consistently cause those failures. All right. Let's see. I want to pick on a HomePod that has issues software-wise. Here we go. Let's pick on Rick's. So what's up with Rick's HomePod? I'll read you their email. Nick, I think that this was bricked in the 17.x release. If I try to reset it, it can take a couple of paths. Even can see it sometimes in my phone to be set up, but it never finishes. So, I wonder if it just got an Oogie Boogie update, and we need to give it a good old USB restore here. Hopefully we got no funny hardware business going on and we can just plug it in and restore it and give them a good old cheap and easy $20 fix. But let's see. All right. Let's get this plugged in and see what it does. Alright, well actually it looks like it's reset right now. Let's see what it does for us here. Oh. No sound? That is, okay, so that's really weird because it plays the setup sound, but it's not playing the passcode here. Let's try the manual mode.
Enter the...
That's weird. All right. Let's try this. Let's give it a shot. Let's give it a good old shot here. I have apparently got a DFU device connected, so I'm going to restart this. I do not have any DFU devices connected. Alright. Let's get this guy ready while we're waiting. Oops. Bonked you guys there, sorry. Put a couple of screws in there to keep it nice and secure. I'm lazy. I'm only going to do 2. Alright. Let's see if I can get my screen share working on here. Yes. Yes. All right. Let's actually see what version this is on right now, if we can. I'm going to scooch this over a little bit. That looks pretty good. Okay. We've got 17.4. So, okay, let's unplug this from power. We'll stick it back upside down. And we are going to gas pone it. We're going to gas to reset it. We're going to restore it. This is the most exciting part, where we wait. Yeah, this part in particular can take a good hot minute, especially when you see these ping pong timeout commands. This can take a minute. What tool are we using to restore? We're using a specific version of iDevice Restore. It's a few commits old. I've got the info on the restore guide. If you go to my website, nixfix.com, and then you go to the common issues section, and then go to the blinking volume buttons, I've got the restore guide there. And it's got the list of all the tools that we use to restore these, and also bonus steps if you want to try building your own IPSW. There is one other braked HomePod that we've got in the pile here, and that's from Mo. Mo sent in 2 HomePods. One of them's got no power. So once this one gives us the results, then we'll see if we've got time to restore Mo's. My wife is on her way home, so we are running out of time. I don't think we'll have much else to fix today, unfortunately. Alright, yeah, here's Mo's with flashing volume buttons. Oh, I bumped the frickin' USB cable. That's very cool of me. Alright, let's restart that. Good job, Nick. We'll unplug our power. This is a good demonstration of what to do if you mess it up yourself. Because I've got people emailing me that are like, hey, it doesn't work, and they get some weird error, and what looks like usually happened is, like what you just saw here, is they're in the middle of the restore, it is working, and then they bump the USB cable or bump the power cable or whatever, and then the mistake that people make is that when they go to try again, they plug the HomePod back into power, and then they immediately try the iDevice restore command again. And that's not how you do it. You need to repone it with Gaster Pone, and you need to do Gaster Reset, and then you can do iDevice Restore. Basically, start from scratch again if you mess it up. Unplug everything. Plug the USB cable into the computer. Plug the power into the HomePod. Gaster Pone, Gaster Reset, iDevice Restore. Bada bing, bada boom. Hello, Joe. Glad you could make it and catch your repair, man. Absolutely our pleasure. And usually what we do is we follow up with folks via email shortly after the end of our repair streams, so keep an eye out for that so you can get your HomePod back. Otherwise, feel free to hang out and watch the lines on the screen scroll past with us. We're playing Pong. We're playing ping pong with the HomePod. Well, the way Apple sees it, their products are perfect. And if I'm totally kidding. And if it's not working perfectly, then it's not worth repairing. It's only worth replacing. I mean, sure, within the first year, if there's a problem, replace it. We'll do it for you, but after that, well, we only expect it to be perfect for a year. I mean, I understand why they don't offer repairs for these, but they kind of did it to themselves with how they designed it. And you could tell that they they kind of got sick of it and changed it up on the construction of the second gen. Because the second gen, you can practically take it apart and put it back together again without any signs of having done so. Save for those drawstrings on the bottom, which of course they've probably got some special tool to work around that easy peasy. But it's it's still interesting that they didn't even do so much as offering software restores on these. I want to know what the logic was behind that. Oh, this will get fixed. I can fix it. I don't know if it'll be just a software restore or if we end up having to replace the whole logic board, but we're going to get it fixed, one way or another. You'd expect AV equipment to last a decade, in my opinion. It's hard for me to fully agree or disagree with that one way or another because, like I say, this isn't just an amp or just a speaker. It's a whole bunch of stuff sealed into in a tiny enclosure. So for what it is, I would reasonably want something. I would reasonably expect something like this to last about 10 to 15 years before it needs some kind of work done to it. And as it turns out, my gut feeling is roughly correct because of those ceramic caps that will basically need to be replaced about every year or so that long. So the problem with comparing it to other AV equipment is most AV equipment's going to be significantly larger. It's going to have way fewer constraints. They're going to be able to have redundancies and just better, beefier, bigger components in there that will last longer. You've got, like I said, you've got an iPhone 6 in there. You've got a seven small speakers and the big subwoofer with amps for each of those speakers dedicated. So you've got 8 amps in there on the board with the power supply that can take 110 to 220 volts around the world. All HomePods internally are the same. They've got a switching power supply. They cram all of that into there, and it's reasonable to expect that there will be a hiccup here and there and maybe a missed flaw or two. But on the flip side, they spent what the public thinks to be around $249 per HomePod to go from what I call dirt to door. That means the $249 for them to research and develop the product, for them to gather and produce the materials, to assemble it, to package it, market it, and ship it to you. And all the cost from the dirt to your doorstep was $249 per unit. And they spent years making this thing before they released it. And then there were still the issues that it has. I would love to speak to the folks that worked on these and the decision makers behind these products. Because I'm certain with a company that big, they've probably got some good, bad, or otherwise reasons why they made the choices they did. And then they turned around and changed a few of those things in the second gen. After all the fighting with support, they basically gave you no options other than, paying for a replacement. Yeah. Much of that R&D was from the iPhone that was repurposed. I don't know how much of that is much. But if we look at we can look at how much cost went into the rest of the HomePod. If you go to Tech Insights, HomePod cost comparison / teardown dealio. The processor was $25. Okay, well, I'll fast forward. The total cost of parts and materials and assembly is $216. Actually, I don't even see research and development in this breakdown. So that's $248.40 that it cost Apple per HomePod to manufacture, and that's not including research and development cost. That is purely materials, assembly, $30 for the warranty and royalties. When they launched, that was a $100 margin. 29%. That is just bonkers. Yes, we are still waiting for this. We are still playing our ping pong with our pod. Oh, my wife is here. Let me go help her bring the stuff in really quick. It looks like we'll be ending our stream here any minute. Alright, I am back. It looks like we're progressing on our restore here. Very good, very good. Do you think they sold it at a loss? So, I think at the very start, retail price when Apple started selling these for what, $349 a piece? They had just enough margin in there to make a little bit of money on the hardware, but they were banking on more so people buying into the subscription services, Apple Music, I think that was one of the big motivators behind, why they designed it the way they did, with no Bluetooth, no auxiliary in. I mean, you could argue that they only allow AirPlay so that way they can have a little more control over what kind of music, what kind of audio you're feeding it, and so you don't end up just plugging a thumb drive or an old MP3 player or some crappy Android phone with some crap Bluetooth and a crap MP3 file, and you're wondering why that the speaker sounds like crap when it's really something else that you're using that's the problem. But I think at launch they made a little bit of money on the hardware. They definitely didn't take a loss at the start, but they were really banking on those subscription services, people signing up for Apple Music. I mean, they got me. I didn't pay for Apple Music before I bought my HomePod. I bought a HomePod and I was like, all right, time to use Apple Music. I tried the trial. It sounded fantastic. I was like, all right, I'll keep paying for this. They got me, and it worked. So that was probably the plan, and I mean, they probably planned on launching them for as high of a price as they could. I mean, even for $350, you had people complaining about it being way too expensive for a smart speaker with too many limitations. But even then, like we see, that's only $100 margin for them. So then, they figured, let's launch it and try to make as much as we can off the hardware, and then when those customers stop buying, then we'll lower the price, and we'll try to get more people in that will pay for that subscription service if they can pay a little less on the entry fee for that hardware. But that's all just my pure speculation there. That's my thinkings. I don't know. It would be really cool to see them take home audio more seriously. And by that, they could do that with existing hardware and just add the functionality over software updates by supporting, true multi-channels, like surround configuration, being able to tell the HomePods where they are in the room. Sing does a great job of this. How it works is you have this is where you are, so you can tell it where you want the sound to be in the room, and then you've got your cells here. So I've got 3 in my living room, there's 2 in the front and 1 in the back, and it tunes itself, it knows where they are in the room, and you've got the option of doing like surround sound, where it'll map sounds to the fronts or the rears and make them sound like they're going all over the place, or you can do the old sound mode, where it's everything coming out of everything at once, with a little bit of magic still to make things feel spatially layered. But the way that Sing did this is really neat. And you can also cast different audio sources to different cells at the same time. So I can listen to something here, Kira can listen to something on this one, Chell can listen to something on that one. And the last really cool thing about it, this is what Sing just absolutely did perfectly. They thought about it, was each Sing Cell Alpha speaker has a USB-C port. It actually has 2. It's got one on the top and then one in the base on the bottom. And you can use either of those 2 to plug in basically any USB-C audio source. You can plug it into your computer, and it'll show up as a sound output. You can get a USB-C to HDMI cable and plug it into your TV. And the magic about it is it will wirelessly sync, it'll pipe and sync the audio that you've wired into the cell wirelessly to the other ones too. So you can take your Mac or your whatever and plug it into the cell, or heck, even a turntable, like a record player with a USB DAC. You can plug that into one cell and it'll play to the rest of them wirelessly. It's phenomenally fantastic. Could you completely gut a HomePod and turn it into a dumb speaker? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've actually done that. If you dig through my YouTube channel's older videos and or shorts, you'll probably find a couple of my videos where we did just that. We took all the smart guts out and we put just straight wires into a home theater amp. And wouldn't you know it, I don't know what I was doing and it didn't work very well, but it worked. If I knew how to do crossover filters and I had a strong enough amp, it would have worked really well. But the proof of concept is there. There's nothing stopping you from doing it. They're just analog speakers. There's nothing special about them. So Tony, what up? What up? What up? What up? We should be pretty much done with the restore. There are just a few more steps it does, and then that's it. Restore finished. There it is. Alright, let's get this dock off. If you're doing your own docks and dongles on your pods, don't do what I do. Unplug it from power before you remove the dock. I repeat, do not do what I do. Alright. While we're waiting for that, we're going to go ahead and try to set that up. And while we are waiting, because setup takes a moment, we're going to go ahead and pull Mo's out and attempt to USB restore that one. We'll shoot him a quick email. All right. Where is my mouse? There's my mouse. Let's get Mo's name up there. let's get this connected and going, and then once we get the restore starting on Mo's, we'll try to set up the other one here. Doctors these days, they treat their patients as numbers, not people. All right. Let's go ahead and start a new terminal session. Let's get this plugged into some power. All right, let's see what Mo's HomePod does, and let's try to set up this other one. Oh, buddy, it's working. Beautifully. Oh, I can't believe it. Do my eyes deceive me? 2 for 2? Is Mo's HomePod restoring as well? Oh my goodness, I think it is. Fingers crossed. It looks like it's restoring. I cannot believe it. Our luck today is just fantastic. Well, my goodness. Mo's HomePod is taking a USB restore. Ricky's HomePod took a restore and appears to be setting up. Frankly, I was not expecting a restore to fix Ricky's problems, but lo and behold, it appears to be setting up fine first try. We'll see if it actually finishes setting up and then fully configures and then survives the factory reset. But my gut's telling me that is fixed. Time to go to Vegas. Hell yeah. You know, I got 6 weeks of paid time off I haven't even used yet this year. Yes. We'll agree to that. Beautiful. Ricky's HomePod is set up. Let's see if it's already configured. It'll probably take a minute. Let's see, we put it into dining room here. It's on 18.0 now. I'll go ahead and delete these other ones from my home that I don't have here anymore. And we'll wait for Mo's to finish restoring. It's connected to the internet. Very nice. What's the weather?
I can't tell your location because of your settings. Where would you like to hear the weather for?
Seattle?
It's currently cloudy and 54 degrees in Seattle, Washington. Expect partly cloudy skies starting early evening. Today's high will be 54, and the low will be 47 degrees.
That is an interesting Siri voice.
Okay, here's a station just for you.
Cool. Yes. Verify that restore. We're almost done. Restore finished. All right. Most amazing. All right. That is fixed. Mo still has another HomePod with no power that we gotta get to, but that is it for today's repair live stream. I hope you all enjoyed this set of repairs, and I will catch you